Hello there Scapers, my name is Xenovilis and first of all I'd like to say happy birthday to Angel of Death. It is exactly 1 year since Angel of Death was released, my favourite single update of 2017, and on its birthday, well, 1 day before its first birthday, Jagex have released what many are hailing as the update of 2018 so far. I usually don't make videos on single patches, but this is one patch that deserves a video because everyone needs to know about this amazing work that Mod Harrison has done. I'm not just saying that for the sake of it, it is genuinely a very, very good update. What is it? It's the ability to automatically switch your action bar based on the weapon that you're holding or you switch to. For example, let's find out how you do this to start with. Right click your cog in your action bar, in your main action bar that is, go to action bar settings, and you can see a new interface that says action bar binding. You can disable it if you don't want it. Why wouldn't you want it? Why wouldn't you want it? You can disable it or you can enable it when you're loading presets from your bank. But essentially what you can do is you can assign each of your unlocked action bars to a different style. Two-handed, mage range or melee, or dual wield, mage range or melee. Now I've already assigned a ton of mine. I've assigned this particular one, number 4, to melee 2H. I can either assign to magic dual wield or range dual wield. That's because I've already assigned the others to the others, so I don't have the option of that. But if I say no style, no style, no style, and no style, what I can do now is I can assign number 4 to dual, well, this is a two-handed one, isn't it? So I'll assign number 4 to two-handed melee. Here we go. And I've actually got number 7 for dual wield melee. So I'm going to do that. There we go. So now when I switch to dual wield melee, you can see that it automatically switches to that bar. It doesn't have to be both. It can be either main hand or offhand. It doesn't really matter. So you can do that with all the other styles as well. For example, let's see. Number 5 is magic. Two-handed magic. I don't have a dual wield magic bar, so I'm going to assign it to two-handed magic. And you can see it has indeed switched it to two-handed magic. And last but not least, number 3 is my two-handed ranged bar, Hex Hunter Bow bar. And there we go, we've assigned it. Now when we switch to it, it will be two-handed range. So that's pretty awesome. Let's also check out the bank preset feature as well, just to make sure we cover everything. Alright, so what I'm going to do is load up my Magister, well, which one shall I load up? Dagannoth Kings one, shall we? Dagannoth Kings. That's actually the first and most important place, I think, for this ability bar binding, because you have to use all 3 styles there. So we're going to check that out straight away after this, but let's just load it up. Firstly, we need to enable it, don't we? So right click action bar settings, click on switch bar when loading bank presets, and then click on the Dagannoth Kings one. And there we go. I've got my mage, my Noxus staff on, as you can see, and it's automatically switched the bar to the Noxus staff. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Let's have a look at how it fares at Dagannoth Kings. So at Decays, this is one of the best things that could happen to you. If you love doing Decays, if you're going for the pet, if you're going for the title or something, this is literally the best place I can think of for you to be able to take advantage, because you switch between the 3 styles so often that any amount of work saved is precious. When I used to go for the pet, and unfortunately I have got all 3 pets, so it's kind of a bummer. I just got them last week, but whatever, I don't mind. It's good for the people that are still going for the pets, so good for people who like doing DKs in general. But the one thing I really hated was having to switch my ability bar as well as my weapons and prayers every single time I had to switch between the kings. It's just too much effort. I wanted to AFK this boss, and now thankfully I can AFK a bit more by not having to switch my ability bars, but I still have to switch my weapons and my prayers. So I like to keybind my prayers and my weapons so that I can click on 2 keys to simultaneously switch both of them. And prayers are very important here if you want speed kills. So if it takes you say 10-15 seconds to kill a king, then that's quite a few switches every minute if you want to think about it that way. It's quite a few. So any amount of effort saved is pretty good. And also the number of times I forgot to switch my action bar while semi-AFKing this boss. Switching my weapon but forgetting to switch my action bar was just phenomenal. So this will take care of that somewhat because it's automated. And yeah, I kind of wish they added sort of prayer presets as well, automated prayer switching, but can't ask for too much. I'm happy with this update. Next I went to Calvite Queen. So this is another boss where you need to switch nowhere near as often as you do at Decays, but you need to switch between two styles, and I went to the Exiled Calvite Queen. If you did the normal Calvite Queen, obviously you'll need to switch a lot more times per minute because of its lower HP, but I went here. I mean, it's fairly AFK as it is. Because you don't need to switch that often, but I guess it is a nice update for this particular boss. Very similar to Decays again, you still need to switch your prayers, and that's not just at this boss or any other boss, it's in general. They haven't brought out that particular update yet. I would like to see that in the game, but yeah, I got an Exiled Calvite Queen head on my first kill, which was a bit of a heart-skipping moment. I thought I got the pet for a second, but nope, just got trolled by Jagex again. It was after testing it out at Calvite Queen that I decided to buy those extra 3 action bars from Solomon's store. So Jagex got some money from me today, deservedly so I think. It was overdue. I had never ever bought any action bars. I had to at some point, and this is as good a time as any. Now I have enough action bars to be able to bind all 6 of my different combinations to. I still need to create a mage dual wield bar, but I will do that. And next I went to TDs. So TDs are again very similar to Dagonoth Kings in the sense that you need to switch your weapons very quickly, far more quickly than Dagonoth Kings, and this will speed up your TDs Slayer task or your TDs camping so much more now. Especially if you have a Steel Titan, you only need to switch, well, you only need to switch between 2 styles anyway, but if you have a Steel Titan, you need to switch less. So I decided to bring dual wield melee, obviously, with Dark Light and Mage, with my Steel Titan doing range damage, which is, I guess, the meta for TDs, and the kills were pretty fast, not gonna lie. This is probably the monster where you need to switch the most often, because pretty much every 2 hits you need to switch styles, otherwise it will be immune to whatever style you were attacking it with. So yeah, it's really good for TDs. Talking of TDs, the Hex Hunter bow does work on TDs, guys, so if you decide to use range, I wouldn't see why you would if you have a Steel Titan, but if you do decide to use range, you can bring it here. Okay, next I went to Vindictus, not for any particular switching reason, but because I wanted to test out how useful it would be for a normal melee DPS rotation involving dual wield switching with 2-handers. So I gotta admit, this was literally the worst Vindictus kill I have ever done in my life. I almost died so many times. In fact, I signed to getting KC. It was absolutely atrocious, and I have no idea what the best melee rotation is involving both dual wield and 2-handers, but I did give it a go just for the sake of it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the pet. Fortunately, I didn't die. But on the other hand, the bar switching is pretty good for this. But I think one of the good things about this update, when you're doing DPS rotations that involve switching between 2-handers and dual wield, is that you can put the abilities that share a cooldown in the same slot in both bars, so that it makes it easier for you to not have to remember to click on a different key for a different ability, if that makes sense. For example, Hurricane and Destroy share the same cooldown. So I have Hurricane on S, I also have Destroy on S in my other ability bar. So depending on the situation, I could just press S. If I had a dual wield on, I would use Destroy. If I had a 2-hander on, I would use Hurricane. So in that regard, I think it's pretty good. They haven't added ability binding in this sense, in the sense that you could put 2 abilities in the same slot, in the same action bar, and it would use either Hurricane or Destroy, for example, depending on the weapon you had. They haven't added that feature, but they've added something pretty close to it, and I think it will be useful. Having said that though, a lot of people, including myself, are pretty used to sort of having different keys for these different abilities without having to think about using the same action bar for them. So it doesn't really affect them too much, but it will create new opportunities to create new ways of going about your business being DPS. So Vindictus is just an example, but there are loads of examples, especially continuous 4-tick auto attack, not continuous, but 4-tick auto attacking could be pretty good for that, as long as it lasts anyway. And also any other place where you constantly switch between dual wield and 2-handers, not just with melee, but with mage and range as well. Next up, I went to fight Calum. Haven't gone here since I got the 100 kills for final boss, and boy was it a fun experience. Brought back a lot of memories, both good and bad. Mainly good though, mainly good. So this is another place where you need to switch between all 3 styles to be effective, and again it serves its purpose. It is pretty good, saves you a bit of effort, saves you not having to think about switching your action bar as well as your weapon but again, you still need to switch your prayers, so yeah. And last but not least, I went to Calfight King. And boy did I regret it. Guys, I have never ever soloed Calfight King successfully, and yeah, I added 4 kills to my tally here, trying to do that. I watched the guide, I thought I could boss it out with my bladed dive and my pro strats, but nope, my pro strats involved dying. And I realized that you couldn't actually telly out if you were greened either, so rip, 2 mil in Onyx for my Ring of Death. But yeah, I mean, I did learn a little bit. I got a little bit better. And only once did I actually encounter a switch between melee or range phase and mage phase. And for that one instance, yes, this update was great. And if you were even slightly better than me at solo KK or KK in general, you would find this update useful. But for me, I didn't quite last long enough, guys. I didn't quite last long enough to be able to take advantage of this update at KK. But it was a good laugh, not gonna lie, it was a good laugh, and I have a very, very big learning curve to embark upon. So yeah, all in all, really, really good update. Obviously, there are a lot of things they could improve on. I hope this is the start of something, and this isn't the end of it all, because obviously it's a very basic thing that they've implemented. Very, very useful, and something they teased a few weeks ago, something everyone's going to find extremely useful. But having said that, there is a lot they could do with this, I guess, concept and apply it to different things. So prayers, abilities that share cooldowns, and one important thing personally that I thought they missed a trick with was shields. So for example, if you were dual wielding and you whacked on a shield, you might want a different action bar as a tank. So I think they missed a trick there that would have been pretty useful, especially for tanking some high level bosses like Virago, AOD and Raids. I would have loved to see that, but in fact, that would have been extremely useful, because as a base at those bosses, from my experience, it was such a pain to have to create 2 separate action bars which shared so many common abilities and have to switch between the 2. In fact, what I usually did was that I would just stick to one DPS action bar and then use my defensive ability book to fire off my defenses whenever I had to whack on my shield. But yeah, quite a few things they could improve on. But overall, a very good update. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Not quite sure it's the update of the year. I'd be slightly concerned if it was the update of the year. I'm hoping there will be better updates to come, like Solak, and a buff to 2-handed ranged. Please, Jagex, please. I'm sure that will happen at some point. But yeah, enough rambling from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the update. Let me know what you found useful about it, what your best application of it was, any ideas you think could improve it, and things like that. I'd be keen to see what you have to say. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.
I'll take the pain.